see Chapter 14, Statistics. Statistics is defined as the study of the collection, analysis and the presentation of data. So today we are going to see how to represent your data in various ways. Let us see now. Coming to the chapter Statistics, we define statistics as the study of the collection, analysis, presentation and organization of the data. So the data can be got depending upon the mark sheets, that is your marks, where the marks were organized under the grouped table, where we find out the frequency, that is the number of times where the students marks occur in the interval, and depending upon the goods price list, and we can give so many examples for the data. Now we are going to see how to present the data. So here the presentation of data can be done in various ways. First one, table value, that is we are going to use a tally marks and finding the number of times the value occurs where the data occurs. Second one, it's a bar graph which represents the graphical representation, and histogram, it is also the graphical representation to denote the data's frequency polygon, which denotes the curve representation to denote or determine your data. Now we present the data in the first form, that is the table form. So the table form can be represented under these two cases. So for ungrouped frequency distribution table, then grouped frequency distribution table. So ungrouped data. Now we are going to see how we define your ungrouped data. Ungrouped data is nothing but the data which is distributed in terms of the individual values. So here I write that ungrouped data is a type of distribution in which the data is individually given in the raw form. So through example, I can define this. So example is the scores of a batsman in last 5 matches. So he talks about the individual batsman score in the last 5 matches. So by looking this 5 matches score, one can define the perform of a single batsman. So that's what the individual work is given as. So it is denoted as a ungrouped data. So now for grouped data, which means that it gives the data or the information which can be arranged in the form of the intervals. So where the intervals we can arrange it as 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30 and so on, such that these intervals should be equally spaced. So we are going to talk about ungrouped frequency distribution table, where the data which is given as a raw form, we are going to put that in the table and calculate its frequency. So we call that it's a frequency distribution table. So here through example we will define, consider the marks obtained by 30 students of class 9. I have given the marks for the 30 students. So which is in a raw form. I am going to raw form which is not written in terms of the intervals. So here let me write the marks in a column. So we represent all these marks individually, 10, 20, 36, 40, 50, 56, 60, 70 and so on. I am going to find out how many students will belong to the range of getting the mark score 10 and similarly for 20. So separately, individually we are seeing it. So for the mark 10, I find that only one student scored the mark 10. So using tally marks, I am going to find the number of frequency, that is how many students got 10. So the frequency is the number of times occurs. We find one student, so I am putting one line. So my number of student is 1 who scored 10. Now 20 also I find here one student. So in 20, I put one line. So my number of student will be one student get score of 20. Similarly, 36, I find 3 students getting scored 36 marks, 3 lines. So totally 3. Now 40, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I am drawing 4 lines, 4. Similarly, 50, I find 3 students, 1, 2, 3. So similarly, I keep on calculating the number of students who got in the range of the given marks. So from this table, I can analyze that the number of students who got in the category of 10, 20, 36, 40 and 50. So it is an easy table. So to have a look and represent the number of students who falls in the range. So this table is known as ungrouped frequency distribution table. Now we are going to see the data which were arranged in a group and how it distributed in a frequency distribution table, that is grouped frequency distribution table. So in this example, 50 plants each were planted in 25 schools during one Mahotsav. After a month, the number of plants that were survived were recorded. So he has given the total number of plants in each schools which were surveyed. First school 28, 32, 33, 42, 36, 38. So he made a survey in all the 25 schools. Now I am going to arrange this data which into a grouped form. Actually it is given in a raw data where we are converting this into a grouped data. So I am writing here where the number of plants falls in the range between 20 to 25. So I am making this number of plants were arranged into the grouped data as though the plants which belongs to the interval 20 to 25 lies in this category and 25 to 30 lies in this category, 30 to 35, similarly 35 to 40, 40 to 45, 45 to 50. So I made a class interval with a class difference as 5. So I am going to count the plants where it falls in the range of 20 to 25. Just for 20 to 25, we see here the number of plants falls under the group is 24 and 21. So here two schools have 21 and the 24 plants which falls in the category 20 to 25. So tally marks 2. Now 25 to 30. So if I calculated, I find that 5 plants where 5 schools where have the plants which falls under the category 25 to 30. Let me see now. 28, 26, 28, again in this category 26 and 27. So the total 5 schools have the plants which falls under this category 25 to 30. Similarly 30 to 35, I find that 1, 2, so 35 will fall in the next group. So 30 to 34. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So totally 5 plants. So totally 5 schools, 5. Tally marks 5 schools. Now we see the plants which occurs between 35 to 40. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So under this 35 to 40 plants, 5 schools falls under this category. So 5. 40 to 45, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 4 schools, writing 4. 45 to 50, 1, 2, 3, 4 schools. Hence, I have calculated the number of schools which falls under this category. So when I add this frequency, so I will be getting the 25 schools. So which is nothing but the summation of F. So this is your frequency, number of times the plants under this category. You have discussed the number of schools where they fall under a certain category. So when I add all the frequency, my summation of frequency, I should get the total number of schools. One more problem. The distance of 40 engineers from their residence to their place of work were found as follows. So they made a survey about the distance of the 40 engineers, the distance related from the residence to the workplace. So they have given the kilometers here for 40 engineers to cover their distance traveling. Okay. So he has given 5, 3, 10, 20, 25, 11, 13, 7, 12, 31. All these are the distance where the 40 engineers used to travel from the residence to the workplace. Construct a grouped frequency distribution table with the class size as 5. So we are going to take the interval, grouped interval with the equal differences as 5 for the data given above. So now I am framing the tabular column. So in my first column, I am writing the distance. So where he is asking to convert this into the grouped table, where this grouped table, grouped interval should have an equal difference of 5. So here, since it deals with the 5 kilometer, so I am taking from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 35. So you have in this interval, it has an equal difference 5. So whose class size will be 5. So now coming under this category of the distance 0 to 5, I find that 4 engineers travels the distance between this category 0 to 5. See here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I am writing 5. Similarly, the distance between 5 to 10, I find that from this table, 11 engineers every day they are traveling within the range of 5 to 10 kilometer. Similarly, 10 to 15 kilometer under this category, I find here. So I just selected from this, I find that 11 engineers covers the distance between these two intervals. 15 to 20, I find 9 engineers. Similarly, 20 to 25, I find only 1 engineer covers this distance. 25 to 30, and similarly 30 to 35, 2 engineers who covers the distance. So when I add this frequency, we get the summation of frequency is equal to 40, which represents the number of engineers. So we have distributed the engineers according to the distance we taken as an intervals, that is a grouped table. Thus we have seen the definition for the ungrouped data and grouped data, and how we distributed the data under your ungroup and find out the frequency and formed the frequency table. As well as for grouped data, we defined the data under certain groups and we framed the frequency and we found out the frequency distribution table for grouped data and ungrouped data.